FCS Fans Nation, the boogeyman, the bully, the big bad bison roll back into Frisco one more time on a cold Monday night, and your national championship is concluded. Welcome to the FCS Fans Nation podcast, Season 8, season finale. We are here to recap an incredible national championship and look forward already to 2025. The OGs, Kyler Neal, Jamie Williams, Matt Frazee, coming to you one more time on the label of YouTube and on Spotify and on FCS Gold that says Season 8. Wow, has it flown by. Mr. Williams, Kyler, you guys look fully recovered. You look like you are alive from our Frisco experience. Jamie, you feeling back to normal? You back in the groove of things after our little vacay?
Yeah, to a certain extent. I mean, I came back, we had snow on the ground, and a water pipe burst at our treatment plant, so we had no water through yesterday morning, yesterday afternoon. So that was fun to come back to. Wife had all kinds of dripping sinks and stuff so we could boil and all that. But yeah, that was a rough return, and then we had another snowstorm yesterday, so I was feeling like freaking North Dakota, and I hate it. But, yeah, we're back in the swing of things.
Yeah, you're back. You're into January. Holy moly.
Yeah, I had to go to my parents just to take a shower.
Oh my gosh. It's like the olden days up there. That is like North Dakota. Yeah, you have to go to your family members to borrow water and, electricity and things like that. Kyler, you discovered an amazing thing on the way out of Frisco that when airport security actually opens.
Yeah, I don't think I ever knew this, and probably some of you guys have. Airport security doesn't open until 4 a.m. So if you have a flight that boards at 4:30 and you're just trying to do the responsible thing and get there an hour early, luckily it wasn't 2 hours early, but an hour early, you're just waiting outside really, or in a really hot lobby where you can't even get through security. That was fun. So I could have slept in 30 more minutes, leaving at 2 a.m. or, almost 3 a.m. I think I left Airbnb like 2:50. So if I left at, 3:30 instead of 3, I could have slept 30 more minutes, which would have been fantastic. But no, yeah, that sucked.
Well, we wanted to bring up all the negatives first, which is we've got snow now, early flights, but also to recap, an incredible and a fun weekend. Wanted to give a little bit of shout out to the Frisco experience before we kick into our top 6 topics. Just a lot of fun to see everybody, as always. I mean, the group gatherings we had, what I did notice was they were way more consistent this year. A big group of almost 25 people of network connected FCS Fans Nation community coming together was really great. Had a great time. Airbnb, the wonderful Mr. Chris Hammond, our Taco King, our Reverend, my beautiful bride, Allison, enjoyed the experience for the first time since 2014, her second time going down. She did say, from a person who doesn't do much with football or all that, she did say, wow, the experience at the game was so cool. Like the hype, the fire that went off. It was cool to be able to see the field so easily. The fan bases were loud. So for everyone who hates on that soccer stadium, she's like, wow, that was a really cool thing. It felt like a championship because there wasn't 20,000 extra seats. But the live stream with the South Dakota State guys, Chad, Thumper, Pete, all them coming over was just great. It was a lot of fun. I don't think we've ever had 2 couches on 2 angles. We met so many Montana State and NDSU fans. You'll see them in the recap videos. The ones who gave us shout outs and appreciation for the fact that they're driving on the road, doing their job, and they listen to us, or the fact that, hey, I put in my earbuds when I'm in my cubicle and I listen to you guys. That stuff's just so cool for us, just being dudes in our basement and living rooms. We really do appreciate that. And, Sam Herder and Zach McKinnell's coach, all those guys who seriously shouldn't make 1 ounce of time for people like us to come out to the bars, have some beers, and enjoy good conversation. Just can't say appreciate the people and the experience enough. So we'll get an opportunity to talk more on that through the quick hit questions and at the end of the episode. But just wanted to start it out because just to give everybody some context, enjoyed Frisco one last time for the next 2 years and hopefully be back soon. With that is a topic within itself. Let's get to the top 6 topics before we end the season finale.
What are FCS fans talking and posting about nonstop? It's time for the top 6 topics of the week.
The national championship concludes, guys. And like I said, the big bully Bison, wish they were gone. FBS, get the heck out of here. Reign supreme and once again take the national championship over the Bobcats in a very close game, in a tale of two halves and a thriller at the end. Mr. Keith Nelson kicks us off, though, with what was your reaction and breakdown of NDSU versus Montana State? What was the difference in what ended up being a pretty close game? Jamie, you got your Bison shirt on. You only pick the winners when you're wearing your gear. Break down Keith's question. What were your takeaways from this sucker?
Yeah, I mean, I actually rewatched the game a couple times. There were some things that stuck out while we were there. But I put it, because I'm a nerd, I'm put some things together to kind of look at here. So we're going to break down one play real quick, and it's going to be the Cam 64-yard touchdown run. And I think this kind of explains what kind of went wrong for Montana State in a nutshell. So this is just the pre-snap look right as they came out and lined up. This is the only time in the entire game that NDSU came out empty. But what you can see by this is the big gap between the two defensive tackles. And at the first alignment, McCade O'Reilly, who is the middle linebacker, straight back, the Mike here, is in pretty good position, kind of has that box covered. The problem is, as you can see in this next read, right after the initial read, he splits out wide. And why he does that is because there's three receivers outside, but the deep safety stayed back. The biggest issue I saw with Montana State is they played too high safety all game long. They were worried about the deep pass, I think. So this is where this play kind of sets up poorly. There might be one more. Let's see, because watch this safety. He then also splits out wide. And at this point, Kyle and I looked at each other and said, Cam right up the middle. I mean, just look, plain as day. We could see it from the end zone from behind where Miller's standing.
It was so wide.
Like, nobody adjusted here, and this was a big problem. If McCade O'Reilly stays in the box and this safety crashes down and they swing to a single high safety, they could probably block this play up. But they just left this gap wide open. And here's the right after the snap, Cam has just received the ball. Both of those defensive tackles are double teamed. None of them have a shot. Everybody else is in coverage. I found that to be obviously a big problem because he went for 64, and they really never adjusted. Montana State came out in that defensive alignment a lot, but at no other time did NDSU come out and empty. They always had a back beside, so they had four wides and a back or a tight end. So McCade O'Reilly stayed in the box, so they didn't have that big gap. But the fact that either the safety didn't slide over and leave O'Reilly in the box, or safety doesn't come down and they left that box wide open, there was no doubt that was going to be a touchdown. I think that's the end of that. Let's unstop, share that. The other thing that was key was keeping Tommy Mellott in the pocket. Tommy likes to get outside and make plays happen. He only went out of the pocket like 13 plays. And one thing Kyler and I, again, we were standing next to each other, so we chatted a lot. He wasn't very good going left. I literally charted every play. And when he got out of the pocket left, whether it was designed or in a scramble, left he was 3 carries for 24 yards, which is respectable, but he was only 2 for 5 for 10 yards passing. So they didn't get anything out of that. When he went right, he carried the ball 4 times for 72 yards. That's where he had the 44-yard touchdown. And he was 3 for 4 for 33 yards. And the one incompletion was that dropped pass in the end zone by Rohan Jones. Just the fact that so on each side, NDSU controlled the lines. They got pressure on like 60 or 70% of their pass rushes. So NDSU dominated on both lines, despite Montana State coming into the game, everybody thinking they had the best offensive line, which they did. But Polasek and team did a great job of scheming that up. And just that one play on Cam's touchdown shows just how they were ready for that. They went empty. They rarely went empty during the year, from what I understand, talking to people. At that point, does the safety should slide in? You got to fill that box. One of those D tackles needs to slide in. So they just out schemed them. Polasek and team out coach Vegan. And the big one to me, that's that fourth down at the end of the first half. When you go back and watch that, play was open. Tommy missed him, threw it high, but he should not have gone for that. That was the difference to me in the game. It turned the game.
Yeah, I said it on the pre-pod. I said, Montana State, don't come out. We're going to do what we're going to do. It felt like that was part of their thing. We're going to be able to do what we want to do. Kyler, what's your takeaway? I know I was just biasly screaming the whole time.
It's a good
terrible
time.
It was so good.
I love bias Matt. I think it's the most entertaining version of Matt, and I wish more people got to experience it. Because you see the Matt right here, right? Just nice, clean cut, professional guy, always making great takes. You watch Matt yelling, turning around, being an awful fan. It's a beautiful thing to see. It was by far my favorite thing. The game kind of turned out exactly how I thought it was. Well, not exactly how. I thought it was going to be more of like a back and forth, not a comeback, two different types of halves that we saw. But I picked in our preseason the pre-show that, NDSU would win in a close battle. I definitely knew it wasn't going to be any type of blowout. Also, if we go back to maybe a few weeks ago, there was a question that was asked, which team would be able to go down 14 points and still be able to make a run back? Jamie and I both went, NDSU wouldn't be that team. But if Montana State is down by 14 points, they have an opportunity to come back and still make it a game. And that's kind of what happened. So I don't want to call myself Houdini, but we Houdini'd the crap out of that game. Again, I just thought it'd be a little more close contested battle in the first half and more of a back and forth. And then really what I thought would be the last drive, maybe NDSU's down by 3 and you need Cam Miller to, take it over and throw a touchdown game-winning pass. That's kind of what I was envisioning in my head. But it ended up having to be Tommy Malott really trying to put the team on his back. Also, that first half, I know a lot of people were making fun of like Tommy throwing. When we were at the game, and again, he did miss some throws, but he also had some receivers drop the ball. But when we were watching that game, and I didn't rewatch it twice because I'm not a nerd like Jamie Williams. I don't love it that much, but it looked, at least in that first half, and even throughout the whole game, it looked like it was NDSU, a full team of very competent, well-coached, well-prepped players versus Tommy Malott. And only Tommy Malott. I mean, that's pretty much what the game was. So I got to give a lot of props to Tommy Malott for even making it competitive, driving back and doing everything he could, because it looked like it was the Tommy show versus North Dakota State. And, that's tough to do. It's tough to be competitive with a team like North Dakota State when you only have one player. And that's what it looked like. And I get MSU has athletes. What they just had their number one lineman go to Michigan, right? He was the number one lineman in the portal. They had amazing athletes. It just looked like in this game, there was one team way more prepped, way more ready. One team that actually maybe followed their opponent a little bit more. This is where I think maybe in MSU probably shouldn't have been this, because we even talked about like the mentality the last few weeks. Is mentality going to be a factor? Because MSU hasn't done it. They always lose to North Dakota State. And even I went, yeah, probably the mental game is going to be a factor. But it probably should have been more of a factor. I think they were almost too confident because they went, well, we beat South Dakota, right? And South Dakota beat North Dakota State. And we kind of crushed them. So this is our game. This is our team. Matt was saying all week, this is the team of destiny. But I think NDSU was a little more prepared. That's one thing I said on our preseason or a pregame episode where I went, don't give NDSU, 3 weeks to prep. They're Batman. And if there's any comic book nerds out there, it's like Batman with prep time beats Superman. All that. It doesn't make any sense. But with prep time, Batman becomes like the ultimate superhero because he's so smart and he can figure out schemes. That's what North Dakota State is. So when they have prep time, it's hard to beat them. And that's kind of why I picked them to win in a close battle. But, I mean, fantastic game. Can we all just say, outside of the first quarter, it ended up being the closest game stat-wise. One of the best games we've seen since JMU, NDSU. And you can even put it and say this game was closer. It was a fantastic game across the board. Fantastic atmosphere. Great venue. I'm glad Allison said that, because everyone making fun of it for being a soccer stadium, who cares? When there's football games being played and it's sold out, there's 20,000, 18,000, whatever. It feels like a pretty damn good football stadium.
Yes, it
feels
does.
pretty fantastic. So shout out to Frisco. They do a great job with this game. And it's eventually going to go back, but I am excited for Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville will be fun. It's the details that shocked me, I would say. And yeah, I was confident. I held it in all weekend. I felt like NDSU was going to win. And my kind of weird take that everybody I saw go, ugh, I just thought the players were better. I thought NDSU had better dudes. And you know what? I think the fine details, I kind of looked at those PFF grades, which everybody laughed at. I saw the players. I looked at a few things, and I'm like, I just think the players are there. Well, I heard a lot about, Taco, Ty, all these humans. I heard about these 1,000-yard rushers. Well, I got Adam Jones at 11 carries for 3.5 a pop. Humphrey, 11 carries, 2.4 a pop. I got Taco Dollar having 3 catches, and his touchdown came at the end with NDSU and prevent defense. Bryce Lance, Chamar Brown, those boys, Raja Nelson, those high catches, those athletic catches, those big plays. I think those were the small details in there of the difference. And this is why Tommy Mellott was the Walter Payton, because you said it best, Kyler. Yeah, Cam's got better support and better dudes. He did. Better athletes. It's something people ignore about North Dakota State. Without Tommy Mellott, that's probably 50-3. Tommy Mellott was an absolute freak for what he was dealing with. I said to Kyler and Jamie in the game, I'm like, he's 4 yards every time if he just decides to run. So athletic, so quick, so fast. And that's credit to NDSU's defense as well. They stopped those running backs from helping Tommy at all. That secondary for NDSU played extremely well against those Montana State. There was like probably 1 or 2 breaks in coverage, but overall, bend, don't break. And I think this detail, which was set up by FCS Stats and Craig Haley and the crew, North Dakota State finished with 202 rushing yards, 9 above its pregame average, and held the FCS number 2 ranked rushing attack to 198 yards, 103 below its pregame average. And I mean, that right there, like the final stats, even in the third quarter, they sent out those things of like, oh my gosh, it's equal passing, it's equal this. I don't know. I'm not a statistician. I'm not good with math, but stats can be the same, but in the details, I'm seeing running backs go for 4 a pop compared to 3. I'm seeing receivers with 11 yards a catch with 9 compared to 4, 1, 2. And I just think those are the small details that kind of affected the outcome of the game. And coach in preparation for sure. For sure.
I'll just counter it. And I think there's only one guy on NDSU that looked just so much better than everyone else athlete-wise. Across the board, I think it was pretty dang even. It was just Lance. Lance is the only guy that I think I'll lean towards your side on that one, Matt. Everything else, I still think's even. You're talking about 1 yard difference. Okay, that's not a first down difference. Again, it looked like
I saw Chamar Brown moving and popping some Montana State guys. I didn't see one Montana State running back do anything to NDSU defenders.
Well, I will say there though, Matt, and it's got to give credit to the NDSU tackling, because there were quite a few times where Humphrey and Jones were kind of past that first level, and somebody reached out and made a tackle. Whereas if they missed that tackle like they had earlier in the year, that is going for 16, 20, 30 yards. So, I mean, I just think the fundamental part of the game, NDSU excelled at.
Yeah, maybe it was the coaches. Maybe if you flip it around, you have opposite effects. So, I don't know. What I will say is that Montana State, their fans, boy, they never gave up. They cheered loud as heck the whole game. And Kyler could not have been more right. It was 21. It was the SDSU fans and the Jack guys and everyone else around me at 21-3 at halftime that were like, good game, good job, you're going to win it. And I was like, I don't know about this. And I only thought about Kyler in that moment. I'm like, I think they could start pouring it back.
All I did is I looked at you and went, well, they get the ball back. All it takes is 1 score and 1 stop, and it's a game again. that's kind of what it was. Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, on that note, we get to question number 2 from Mr. Heath here that says, what was the play, the moments in the game, the time during the game that affected the outcome the most? So Heath, I don't know if he wants to expand much, but I'm going to force these guys to go with one. They're going to have to pick one moment. And this is tough during a tale of 2 halves and something that ends close. Kyler, what would you pick? What would you pick?
I'm going to go with that. It was that 3rd and long. So that 3rd and 10 in Bryce Lance. Again, I do think he was the difference maker. I mean, what a clutch throw by Cam. You have to give it to them. Is when they were, I forgot what quarter, to be honest. They were throwing away from us, end of the 3rd. And that just kind of just changed it, because that's Montana State building all that momentum. You're like, crap, you're starting to see Matt look a little more nervous. Taco right there going, oh no. We've seen this. And then it kept going. We've seen this against South Dakota. The South Dakota fear started coming out, because that's what it was. And then what a clutch throw by Cam Miller, and what a clutch catch by Bryce Lance. I mean, that I think was the ultimate okay, we're going to let you come back. You're going to make it a game, but you're not going to ever take the lead. I thought that was huge because right there, if you get that stop, NDSU is punting. Montana State had tons of momentum, and they started figuring out NDSU. They probably score at that momentum. And now it's at the end in the fourth quarter, kind of NDSU's trying to climb back. So, yeah, I think that was what a clutch play. I'm going to go with that one right there.
And that really, it does speak to the coach's mentality all year. And what I am, and
This was
to
the
this
third and
day,
10, though, right?
Third,
8 or 10 or
third
something.
long, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I give a lot of credit to Polisek and Landry and the coaches. And I love Matt Entz and big Tyler Roll fan, but they would have went more the passive route. And Polisek and them were more like, we're going to go for the throat when we can. You saw it all year. I won't go down that rabbit hole. Jamie, I think you're going to take mine, but I'll expand on it if you do. What do you got?
I think everybody wants to pick the fourth down at the end of the first half. I'm going to actually go with another third down in the fourth quarter. So it's 28-25 NDSU. It's 3rd and 6. If Montana State can get this stop and hold to a field goal, so they're already down near us. They get that stop, hold to a field goal, it's a 6-point game. And it was a play, the catch that Raja Nelson made. It wasn't a perfect throw. Nelson went up and just kind of snagged it just on the other side of the sticks. I think that was the key play, because if you don't make that play and NDSU has to kick, Tommy has probably taken him down. He did take him down to score. Yeah. Probably going to happen anyway. Obviously, everybody wants to look at the end of the first half, which was an absolute mistake by Vegan. But they had kind of recovered by that time, and they had the chance to make that stop. So that throw by Cam, but the catch by Rajah Nelson in a really clutch situation was the difference there for me.
Yeah, really good clutch third downs.
Yeah, third down efficiency, which Kyler, you guys, and you, Jamie, you guys had mentioned heavily on our live show and the pregame show about that stuff. Jamie, I'm going to take what everybody else was thinking, and I had moved to the sideline, NDSU side, with my cousin Justin and his wife Megan, just to say hi to them during that moment. And Montana State came out on 4th and 5, and I said, "Oh, this is really smart. You try to draw NDSU off sides to get a first down, so you just say hut hike." And then they started like moving, and then NDSU called the timeout, and I was like, they're not going to go, are they? I was like, Cam Miller's going to get us in field goal range if they miss this. They snapped the ball, and I just turned to Alice and I said, no bleeping way. And they missed it. And I said, boy, that when they look back, they're going to kick themselves on that one. And I'm not even going to talk about the drive then. I'm going to talk about what has happened all season and the preparation you guys talked about with coaches. Yes, Tyler Roll, Matt Entz era, NDSU feels comfortable at 14-3, and they roll into halftime going, boy, we're good. SDSU all season, halftime, 2 minute, 3 minutes left. Paulsek said it every press game. We're going to put the ball in Cam Miller's hands. He's the best player on the field, and we're going to trust him to make plays. And for Vegan, I know he was trusting his offense, and he said in the post-game press conference, we felt like we needed to go get something. But boy, there was a lot of risk there to know that NDSU was not going to be like, good job, let's get to halftime. No, they were going to go for a touchdown all the way. And that's how it turned out. So I did think that was a lot of impact, because I don't know how you come back and beat NDSU down 21-3. Crazy thing is they almost did.
Right.
So, which made it fun. What made it fun here, Mr. Kyler Elliott has our third question. He says, and after this one, guys, if you're over it as a Bobcat fan and you want to move on, we will be heading into future questions. Where does this last game rank on your FCS championship list? This is the cool Kyler Elliott. And what do you think, Jamie? You go all the way back, go all the way to Kyler's Eastern Washington, coming back on President Joe Biden's Delaware.
You're welcome.
At that game. What do you think?
It was an excellent game, but I can probably just rattle off a bunch. Like, let's start. Obviously, for me, I've personally obviously JMU winning is going to be at the top. But if you're talking about perfect, like the game itself, both of the NDSU JMU games to me were much more compelling and tight. The Carson Wentz versus Illinois State, the spring game. So it's at right now it's at best it's 5. If I take out my own bias, at best it's 5. But you got to, like you said, go back to the Eastern Washington title game. That was a fun game. Not a lot of people remember it anymore because it was a long time ago and memories are short. So while it was an excellent game, and I'm glad I was there, and it wound up very exciting. It's mid pack, but that's good.
Yeah, it was a longer drag than these two, but people forget that Illinois State NDSU, that game was done in the third quarter. It was like 20 to something. It was like a 17-point lead for NDSU, or I'm roughly around that. And Illinois State makes a freak pass where the tight end just almost luckily gets the ball in like a 3rd and long and runs it in for a touchdown, and everything flips slowly and it ends magically. But it was boring in all NDSU the first half. So honestly, it's a good comp. And even Eastern Washington, Delaware, and Kyle, you can speak more on if you want. That is a fourth quarter heater that ends up in the last 10 minutes. Besides that, it's not that great of a game.
No, it was bad for 3 quarters.
So I think this one kind of ranks within that, where, boy, the first half wasn't that great. Good, Montana State got back in it, so we got a quarter and a half of fun. So I think it's within those realm, wherever you want to put them. People are going to hate it, but boy, the spring season was good. The spring season game was really good. It was tight the whole time. I'd rate it 4th or 5th in the Frisco era. Still a pretty good game, roughly in that realm. Kyler, what do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say, we're not going to do our due diligence because it just says like FCS championships. I'm not going to lie. If you go before the Frisco era, I watched one game before the Frisco era. Watched 2009.
Yeah,
maybe even 2008. But prior to that, I'm not gonna lie. All I've seen is stats and scores, and you probably have to ask Kevin Marshall, who's probably seen them all, and then 100%. He will be able to give you a real. No, this game was fantastic, right? We're kind of the new boys. We were young in college at that point in time. Jamie's probably seen some of those FCS games, title games, but also most people didn't really care about the FCS until you were in college. So I'm not gonna lie and say I watched them all. So I mean, yeah, I'll be biased and say my game was the best, but no, Matt's take is the reality. It was pretty boring for 3 quarters. There's a lot of games that have been kind of crappy in the Frisco era. So I don't know if I would say this is, falls all the way down to 5. Yeah, I don't know, but it's right around there. It'd be right with the even NDSU Eastern game. I think was competitive until the last drive. It was kind of even in that type of a game. I'd rank it behind probably spring, in maybe the first JMU NDSU game. And I get the scores close, but that was a very boring 2011 game too with NDSU and Sam Houston. So I don't like those. I like a little more offensive, power. So I didn't like that game.
That's where JMU NDSU in 2017 felt like 2011 Sam Houston NDSU. Yeah. But
I'll say top 3 in the Frisco era. I'm going to give it top 3 because also it was funny to see. I like to see highs and lows from fan base to the players. Like you get to see a roller coaster of emotions when you have this type of a game. And I did like to see Matt and Taco first riled up saying this is easy, game over, Montana State sucks, Big Sky sucks, and then at the end going,
I never said that.
This might be the game where we're finally losing. This is a momentum builder. It's fun.
The reason I put it behind the Illinois State games because Illinois State actually took the lead. So this game was more like the second NDSU JMU game where Trey Lance ran out and we finally figured it out in the middle of the damn third quarter and had a chance to tie late. And
big game sig.
Hendricks did what he did. So
yeah, it's tough to. I just want to give a shout out to what I think is the number 1 overall. I don't care if there weren't fans there or not, but that Sam Houston South Dakota State game, 7-0 in the first, 14-7 in the second, 17-7 in the third, and then it ends up 23-21. So one team crawls back at the end and last second touchdown to win it. That was a good game. Yeah. That really was fun. So hopefully ranks at least it's up there in the top 5-6 there, Mr. Kyler Elliott. Moving into the future, gentlemen, and we almost always talk about the national champion on some level moving forward. Well, it's even more intriguing this season because we have the portal. We also have what is maybe the greatest graduation swing of the top teams we've ever seen because the COVID years are officially done. Maybe. I don't know how this whole thing works. Anyways, with NDSU not losing any players to the portal will be NDSU and everybody else, says Mr. Cody Werlinger. Congratulations, Cody, by the way, on being our bracket challenge winner. Cody had only 2 games picked wrong in the first round, and he got the rest of the bracket completely right. Congratulations.
CAA games
sir.
probably too.
Yep, had I think 2 CAs.
They
So
probably had New Hampshire and Richmond, but that's what happens when you just
that's
pick
what it was.
Chop Cody.
New Hampshire and Richmond.
Sometimes it makes you go boring.
Yeah, sometimes it goes boring. So NDSU, just a little breakdown for everybody, and then we can go into Montana State, South Dakota State, and the rest of them. But NDSU will return as of right now. There is another portal window coming. Who knows what can happen? But Bryce Lance is going to be back. Malik Collins, their highest rated receiver who started to come on here, is going to be back this year. Chris Harris will be there at wideout. Both their star running backs, to include Shamar Brown's, coming back. They are going to return 2 offensive linemen starters, a third one who was forced to start because of injury. That entire secondary, that was a liability because they were all freshmen. It'll all be back. Their 2 senior linebackers, Kopp, Sonobi, they're going to be back. NDSU is bringing a lot back. And this is what winning does, because it's almost, we had this hunch, guys, of if Montana State or NDSU won, there's that bigger purpose calling to national championships. And Montana State lost, and a lot of those big players are moving on. They're going to go get the bag. They're going to move on. They're going to go, right? South Dakota State, obviously, there's a circumstance there with a big graduating class plus a coaching change. But NDSU right now sits pretty because they won, and their senior class and their guys, to include Bryce Lance, are kind of feeling that whole, well, let's run it back. Let's do it one more time. And I'll let you guys get into the other teams a little bit, but I do want to say this one thing. When NDSU was taking hits and dings about transfer portal, this or that, they called to arms team makers and the funding and everything. Like the old conservative NDSU way went NIL strong. And they did in 2020. And we've heard of South Dakota State needing to kind of ramp it up a bit. It looks like Montana State's doing pretty well with it. But Bryce Lance probably getting 6 figures through NDSU is a direct result of getting ahead of this 4 years ago. And having an NIL collective merch shop and promos for players and being able to run out with the team from the tunnel for paid money towards it. I mean, all those niche little things people smirk at are why probably Bryce Lance goes, well, my draft stock's good. I have no idea on this number, by the way. This is made up, completely made up. I make a $160K from NDSU. Yep, that's good enough. I don't need to go get $1 million from Texas and hopefully be good. Again, made up. I have no inside information. So, yeah, just wanted to put that out there that other teams need to start getting on board, and I think they are. Kyler, Montana State, Jamie, South Dakota State, the stuff you've been seeing from them, the losses. What are your kind of thoughts on that stuff?
I mean, yeah, on paper right now, it looks like, of course, it's NDSU versus, everyone else. But also, I feel like right now the gap has been closed. I get what Matt's saying, because NDSU has a lot of firepower with their NIL. They do. They have a lot of amazing donors. But there's also the top tier of the FCS that really do as well. I mean, literally, you're having Montana grab a quarterback from USC. You're having Montana take, honestly, he should have been the best special teams guy in the country out of Eastern to come to Montana. So, I mean, you're looking at Sac State. It looks like they have unlimited NIL money with the starters they're pulling from some of these P4 teams. So when we're looking at maybe like, is it NDSU versus everyone else? Yeah, but I think the gap has closed a little bit to where in this new era with the transfer portal NIL, there's probably going to be like a couple teams that on any given Saturday has a chance to beat NDSU. I don't think South Dakota State, sure, maybe this year they're going to be down, but it seems like they have done quite a bit with their collective. It seems like they're throwing money around as well. I think they'll be fine. The 2 Montana schools, I do think they are fine until they go to the FBS. That is a very passionate state that loves their football. If you're asking, are they going to be bringing in money to the equation? Yeah. It even seems like a team like I said, Sac State seems like they have unlimited NIL, and I'm waiting for the 30-30 that says we didn't pay anyone. And we promised $50 million to all these guys because it's wild what they are getting thrown from the portal. They have their transfer portal ranking beats schools like Miami, Texas, like some of these giant programs. They're getting better athletes than some of these giant programs. For the
Michael
portal.
Scott's promising laptop or free college.
100%. It's Michael Scott saying they're going to pay for all these college for these 5-year-olds, and then they got no money to do it. We'll see. I have no clue, but I do think, there is going to be a select few teams that in this era are going to be able to go toe to toe. But, if anyone was hoping NDSU would just not be there after the last 2 seasons, you're probably sadly mistaken. NDSU will be there as long as they are in the FCS. It's just, can the other teams close the gap? And I think they have. I think the last 3 years, even this year, the gap has been closed. South Dakota looks like they didn't lose a lot. They brought back a lot of studs as well that you thought would have entered the portal. They kept most of them. So I think you're having some teams that are putting their money where their mouth is and at least wants to be competitive and do everything they can to be competitive with NDSU, which is exciting to see.
And it's going to be, man, so well said. Sometimes I'm taken back, Kyler, and you, Jamie, how you guys just say things so well.
Well, and I'm waiting for Princeton to buy the Dakotas.
Yeah,
just take
the
everyone.
Ivies come in. The thing is quarterback questions, right? Like, I'm saying it right now. I'm going to say it all next year. I think Nathan Hayes will be the starter for North Dakota State. I think he's going to be really good. He was the backup when Cole Payne went down. Watch some of the clips. He looks like a Bison quarterback. Despite that, Chase Mason, South Dakota State, right? Heck of an athlete. We're going to see with the throwing stuff. I think he should be vastly improved. Montana State, who's going to be the quarterback? The quarterback questions and the turnover now. Shout out to Aiden Bauman of USD. He's coming back. That's like your most experienced guy.
Yeah.
Idaho, coaching change. Eck is gone. Completely
Idaho
gutted.
just got Montana's one of their top wide receivers.
Yeah. So it's this
Montana
weird
State.
game.
Yeah.
To kind of answer 2 questions in one, guys, because I do want to give a shout out to him. Mr. Kyler Elliott says, what top 8 team gets hit hardest by graduation and transfer portal? Sorry, Kyler, we're already on your question. Along with Mel Gade said, what's SDSU status with the coaching change and all the transfers next season? SDSU status is they brought in like 5 FBS transfers today. 4-star running back who was with Wisconsin, a stud safety who was coming from Minnesota. So they're reloading, as Thumper said, best year ever to get gutted by a coaching staff because players are looking for homes because of the roster limits. So they're dropping down and they're seeing a good program like South Dakota State and they're jumping in it. Who's been hit the hardest, though? It's definitely Idaho, South Dakota State, and probably right now Montana State, unless there's teams I'm unaware of. I know Mercer took some hits with some stud defensive guys. Even USD lost a stud defensive lineman. So people are taking small hits, but your biggest hits for sure are the graduating classes of South Dakota State, the graduating classes of Montana State, plus the guys that are entering the portal for those universities, and then the gutting that happened at Idaho. They got hit really bad. And the ones that look the healthiest, yeah, USD and NDSU. Jamie, we kind of rolled over these 2 topics without even bringing you in here. I almost feel bad. Thoughts on who's to beat in the portal and graduating classes?
Yeah, no, I think you both covered it pretty well. I think NDSU is going to be clearly the top dog. SDSU, yeah, they got gutted, but they're also reloading. They hired a good coach. Idaho's trying to do the same thing, maybe not quite at the same level. I'm concerned about Montana State. I'm significantly concerned about Montana State. Vegan should have taken that chop and run at Washington State, but that hindsight 2020. South Dakota, I think, is going to be really good. They have a lot of offense back. Mike Grace just actually committed to Kentucky, so that hurts them. But it's the nature of the beast right now, so there's going to be a lot of movement up and down. Roster limits are going to trickle down some talent. So, yeah, while South Dakota State just got hammered by the portal, I don't think they're overly impacted because of the quality of program that they actually do have, despite what Jimmy did.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's going to be interesting. And, Jamie, because this is kind of your show, and even if you want to block out the video for us for a while here on YouTube, we ignored you here on these last 2 questions and took all the points. So I'm going to give you Cody Werlinger's last question in the top 6. What will be your top 5 preseason ranking and preseason top 10 next year for Mr. Ben? These 2 individuals are already looking forward to it. On YouTube, I've got the basically final top 10 here on the FCS rankings. What are you feeling like, or is it too early to tell? As Rev famously says, I'm just going to wait till August when the portal's done, and then we'll talk about it then. What do you think?
That's kind of how I feel about it. But if you want me to talk through some of the teams, sure.
I'm going to force you because fans ask for questions. Give us the top 10.
Yeah, I'll go through some of it. NDSU, to me, clear number 1. I'll probably have right now, because like Rev said, you don't know. There's another portal window coming. You don't know what's going to happen. USD looks like the number 2 team. South Dakota State, I'm probably going to say number 3. I mean, people are going to get tired of hearing the top of the valley. But then after the top 3, that's where I'm not real sure. Incarnate Word looks pretty well intact. I know they have some graduations. Mercer, we'll see. Like, somebody will jump, but Montana State's still going to be probably a top 5 to 8 team, especially entering the year. I think Idaho's done a good job of reloading. I don't know that they're the number 7 team. Montana should be improved. I know they lost Logan Fife, so we'll see where they go at quarterback. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, Villanova's probably going to get a look there because whatever. CAA, we went to their tailgate at the national championship game, and it was very accurate. But somebody's going to be up in there from the CAA. But I think you're still going to have that Dakota-Montana split and then everybody else chasing them down. I think UC Davis probably takes a significant step back. You don't lose that much production and just restyle. But I think Kyler mentioned, watch Sacramento State. They're bringing in a ton of talent. So while they might not wind up top 10 to start the year, they could get there pretty quick. They should wind up ranked to start in the preseason polls. But we'll see. I know Sam, Zach, and I will probably have our little DM sessions back and forth like we tend to do throughout the year and kind of build a little mental thought process between the 3 of us. And I'm not going to say consensus because it's certainly not consensus because we all have different opinions, but we do I personally like bouncing the thoughts off of those guys. I talked to Kevin, talked to other people. So we'll get it locked down by August to see where 1 through 127 comes out.
Yeah, I think you're going to have NDSU number 1. I do like USD at number 2 right now. I think Montana answered their QB questions this portal and it got much better. I think they have 2 fantastic weapons now. I actually am going to put Montana at number 3. I still want to see more, but I know South Dakota State is reloading. I'll probably put them at 4, and I do think Sac State is going to be a top 5 team probably by the end of the season. It's not just the talent they're getting, which that helps a lot in this era. They got pretty dang good coaching. A lot of talent, a lot of knowledge on their coaching staff. I would be very shocked if Sac State didn't have a massive turnaround, and they are going to be by far, in my opinion, the most talented roster in the FCS. Now, can they capitalize? Can they gel all together? That's a whole different discussion. So we'll have to see how well those coaches do. But I mean, this is not quite Dion level of talent, but it's up there in the grand scheme of talent in 1 year of coming in. And then I think you're still going to have Montana State somewhere up there. UC Davis will probably take a step back. Incarnate Word, I like. They have Giovanni McCoy, who transferred to Incarnate Word. I mean, that was Idaho's star quarterback a couple of years ago who left greener pastures and he started at Oregon State for half the season. So, and he's pretty efficient at Oregon State for a little bit. So that's kind of a shock to see him come down to Incarnate Word.
It's a good fit.
There is some good teams. And at this level, right, maybe not to be a national title, but to be a top 5 team, sometimes all it takes is about 3 really good players and a whole bunch of competent players, right? You don't have to be the most talented team to get, to the top. I mean, I'm going to just throw my team out there. We look at 2021 Eastern Washington, right? They were a top 8 team. And when you look at pretty much the only people that left was a couple wide receivers, which Eastern always has, and then Eric Barrier, and then they turn into a 3-win program on an easier schedule. So sometimes at this level, all it takes is one really elite player who can make a big difference. But I like my top 5 right now. I won't put probably Sac State in my preseason top 5, but I would not be shocked if they are a semifinal, quarterfinal team next year.
I really want to say one point, though, and I'm going to give credit to Incarnate Word, Kyler, off of your point. It's for South Dakota State, Sacramento State specifically, because SDSU right now is rolling in those FBS transfers. Rightfully so, they should be. It's easier to get them than it is to gel them and make it all just work as a cohesive unit. And that's where, I'm not trying to be like, look out, guys, but this is where Incarnate Word deserves a ton of credit. They've almost culturally built it that way. Like, they have turnover of coach, turnover of quarterback, turnover of this, transfer. And they have just made it work almost every year. Even when they missed the playoffs, they only had like 3 losses or whatever it was.
Yeah, they were 9-3.
Yeah, so I got to give it. We'll see if South Dakota State, to some extent, because they've still got a lot of players left, good quality players, and if Sac State, exactly like Incarnate Word, can take the transfers in, implement them, bring that cohesive unit, and then actually execute on a game plan. So it'll be fun to see. I wouldn't bet on anything right now, but we should bet on one more thing for Season 8.
Taco King, coming to you from bright and sunny Fargo, North Dakota. It's time for a taco bet, and time for you losers to pay up.
Shout out to the old king who got us some incredible Torchy's tacos. As much as you guys would love to believe that we have this huge tracker of tacos and then we exchange them like we're in some dark basement with cigars and gambling at Frisco, it's the Taco King putting cold hard-earned cash down on a table and basically supplying tacos. So Brian Thompson, big shout out to you, man. Just truly appreciate you bringing that generosity to literally the table. And the tacos were delicious. We appreciate you, King. Michael O had a question, guys. He said, will SDSU even be ranked in the top 5 preseason poll after all the changes? Absolutely they will, Michael, because we don't know enough information. However, here's the taco bet, gentlemen. We're going to the end of the 2025 season. Over under 2.5 Dakota schools in the top 5 at the end of next season. Before we give the answers here, I'm so glad you guys made me feel so good about the taco bet in Frisco. 2.5 passing touchdowns for Tommy Mellott, which made both couches go, ugh, 2 exactly. So it worked out pretty well there.
Didn't I say 2 exactly?
I was so split in the room. I don't even remember. But all right, what do you think? 2.5 in the top 5 at the end of next season. So you're banking off at least 2 of them are getting to the semis minimum. So, all right, Kyler, what do you got?
Yeah. Give me the 3 Dakota schools and leave off the Fighting Hawks. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Did I set this up just to take a stab at UND? No,
I think you did, because this one seems way too easy.
I kid.
Yeah,
Jamie,
there's going to be 3.
Jamie, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you almost booked the 3. And the other question, of course, South Dakota State's going to be top 5, because even if they had gotten gutted and didn't add, think about the voting populace. They're going to look at what happened last year. They'll still be there to start top 5, even if they.
Well, this is at the end of next season.
I know, but the first question was, will they even start the season top 5? But yeah,
gotcha.
At the end of the season, they're still going to be there.
I'm going to take the under just because you guys took the over so confidently. But number 2, if one of them loses in the quarters, just one, they might get ranked 6, because they didn't make the semis. So I'll take the opposite.
Maybe they still might be top 5 if they lose in the quarters. It depends on who they lose to.
Yeah, depends how the game goes. Well, hopefully it gets here quick because the off season is boring.
Just because your question is answered quickly doesn't mean we don't care. It's time for this week's quick hit questions.
Jordan's already looking ahead. Jordan Thule, amazing FCS Gold member. Also, tons of these people are on here. Cody Werlinger, Kyler Elliott, lots of these humans. Just really appreciate your guys' support in the FCS Gold thing. It was great all year. We are going to be doing multiple contests. Congratulations to, again, Cody Werlinger winning $50 Visa gift card for the Bracket Challenge. And shout out to Mr. Neil Jackson for winning $50 Visa gift card for the Pick'em Challenge. So be on the lookout for some maybe, non-FCS NCAA bracket challenges. How about some NFL draft Pick'em challenges? Heck, Jamie, I don't know, maybe some hockey challenges. Maybe some hockey playoff stuff. End of the day, if you're on FCS Gold, you're going to continue to do fun things where you can earn prizes and enjoy it. We appreciate you guys for 99 cents a month supporting us. We hope to continue to give back to you. All right, into the quick hits. Do you think ticket prices will be lower in Nashville with more seating availability, says Jordan Thule? Ooh, I like this question, Kyler. What do you think? Think it'll be lower from the NCAA?
I think the NCAA is going to keep it the same. Maybe the resale will be a little lower.
Perfect answer.
Yeah,
I think they know their cash that they can get and the preemptive strike of what people will buy, for sure. But why don't they wait to sell tickets till after the semis? Shout out to the page 2 years in when that question was asked 5 times in December. Why do NDSU fans have such strong feelings for trash cans? Again, says Jordan Thule. If you guys didn't see it, Tommy Mellott runs out of bounds on the NDSU sideline and he flips a trash can over. Okay, I'm going to rant on this a little bit. When your player does it, none of you hypocrites have a problem. When Cam Miller says that he hates the Jackrabbits, no Bison fan has a problem. When Tommy Mellott tips the trash can, no Montana State player has a problem. Also, these players, it doesn't matter. These players they're fiery, they want to win, they're competitors, but quit being hypocrites. Quit hating on Tommy Mellott for flipping a trash can and then saying Cam deserved an ability to say literally, I hate a team on a post-game press conference. You're all a bunch of hypocrites. You should just be okay with college kids providing fun for everybody. And here's my second rant. Everybody's hating on Tommy Mellott right now because he said the better team lost today. And everyone's like, wow, unbelievable. I heard like 5 Bison players say, we all know who the Walter Payton best quarterback was today. Where are you going to call them out? It sounds like to me, Tommy, Cam, Bryce, Jones, Humphreys, sounds like they just love their teammates and believe in the people they sweat and bleed with every damn day of the year. Quit being hypocrites. Shut up. Enjoy the games. All right. Tim Rask, what first-year head coach do you think will have the biggest impact? Which will improve their team the most next year? Man, I got an answer, but I just ranted, so I'm going to pass it to Jamie. I'm going to see if he nails it, because I really think there is one. What do you think, Jamie?
Mike Vick.
Oh, yes. Yep. They were on the same
I mean,
team.
just the reason I say Mike Vick is because it's like the Deion effect. People will go there whether he's going to be a good actual coach or not. He'll get recruits, and Norfolk State will be improved. They might be in the Celebration Bowl because they play in the MEAC. So it seems like an easy answer.
I think Sac State's going to get more than 3 wins. So I'm going to give that first-year head coach.
He's going to be good.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's actually 2 great answers.
Yep.
And then, of course, Dan Jackson at SDSU, probably going to do okay.
Probably do all right.
For
Ford's
NDSU,
probably going to do all right at Idaho.
yeah, we got some good options here. Good coaches had him moving forward. Kyler Elliott for NDSU, does the lack of player loss to the transfer portal reflect culture strength, or does it hint at a jump to the FBS level? Kyler, I don't think it's the FBS at all. I think it literally is the NIL practices that NDSU got ahead of. And I think winning helps a ton. I think if NDSU had lost, I think a lot of these players do actually think about the portal. And how the heck did NDSU not lose anyone in the portal, says Brandon Anderson? Same answer. Same exact answer, my man. Back to Jordan, he says, how big of a number is Bryce Lance getting to stay at NDSU? Kind of reflected on that, probably in that 6 figures range. Sorry, guys, I'm running through these as they're all NDSU questions. Steve White, though, here you go, Kyler, all you. Impact of FBS roster limits on the FCS.
Yeah.
I literally, my dad and I called you to learn about this.
Yeah. And I don't even know if I'm 100% accurate, right? But I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's going to impact every level. I mean, we've already seen it. There's quite a bit of FCS players who have entered the portal who have not announced they're going anywhere. And I'm following some of them. Most of them don't have an offer, right? So sure, your studs are going to be able to find some place to go. But for every stud, and what I mean stud is, I mean stud at the FCS level, there is probably 5 other guys who played FBS, G5 ball, FCS ball, who do not have a home. And it's going to be, every team is going to fill up their roster pretty easily. But yeah, it's going to affect. I mean, you already mentioned it earlier, Matt. SDSU is getting tons of FBS transfers. There's an influx. What most teams, I think Sam said it a while ago, have like 130 plus players. Now they're going to have to drop down to 105. And if you are on a roster, you have to have a scholarship now, right?
Yep.
That's kind of the Senate
FBS level. Yeah.
And the SEC said they're still going to stay at 85 scholarships for now, right? So now you're even looking at, all right, you have these giant programs who used to hoard players as walk-ons who would never see the field. Now they can't even be on the program, if I'm understanding it correctly. So yeah, there's going to be an influx. Horrible thing is I feel bad for the high school kids who probably would have been recruited in any other year, who are never going to have an opportunity to play ball again unless maybe it's D3 level NAIA. There's going to be a lot of kids who in normal years would have still got to play some type of college football at some level, who will now not have an opportunity.
Yeah, that does suck.
Another key to that is watch the spring portal window, because no team's going to cut from 120 to 105 until they absolutely have to. So these coaches are going to want those bodies for spring practice. So they're going to wait till after that spring cycle of spring ball and spring practice to say, okay, bud, sorry, I don't have a spot for you. So that spring portal window in April is actually going to be massive.
So
watch
also, I like that, Jamie, because if you see your FCS team loading up right now, well, guess what? That might not be the smart move. You might want to keep some open availability to the spring when all these FBS teams start cutting their decent players. That actually might be the move. I'm glad Eastern signed no FBS. I was getting a little nervous. Now I'm going, all right, we're fine.
What a gross spot this sport is in right now. God bless it. Jamie Williams, Jason Soren says, thought about this watching the Natty and would love to hear your thoughts. Not a big fan of polls, but I get it. So what if a preseason poll comes out like a week or so before week 0, and then we don't see another poll until 5 or 6, until we actually can see how things play out? Pros, cons, thoughts? What do you think? You're an official voter.
Yeah, I understand the thought process, but I'm going to tell you what you're going to have. The same exact thing that you had a poll each week. You really are. Because the voters are going to track their polls the same way. They're just not going to have to vote on it. I don't think that's going to change anything, really. Because nobody's going to sit there and wait. But you've got people like Sam and myself and Zach who will actually make the big moves and say, okay, I was wrong about this. Sac State, oh, wow, 22. Oh, they're killing people. They should be number 4 instead of the slot vote thing. You're still going to have half the voters slot vote. You're not going to see any difference. I understand it. Rev says it year after year. I get it. Won't change anything.
Very interesting. Kyler Elliott says, what's the new victory song for making it to the title game now that we head to Nashville? Rocky Top? Tennessee Jed, says Kyler. What do you guys think? Any ideas? I am clueless.
I'm leaving it to Jamie, Mr. Country Boy, because...
Yeah, it seems like a Jamie question, to be honest.
There's got to be a Nashville song out there.
Oh, yeah, there'll be all kinds of Nashville songs. I'll look some up. I don't know. I didn't think about this question that much. Something will pop into my head like tomorrow.
Question will be is what is, like, if they even do it, it's because everybody copied NDSU for the fiddle song. Is any, what is going to be the song that plays?
You guys copied Eastern. Just
we copied Eastern. Eastern did that. They didn't play no fiddle song.
Yeah, we did. First year.
You played that?
Yeah. Good job. Welcome. We are the daddy of Frisco. We just rented it out to you guys. You guys were great tenants.
Hey, NDSU is all about renting. We don't want to buy.
Yes, I also don't remember if we did or didn't. I was drunk.
Kyler, you weren't drunk when you noticed the toilet leaking. So the ref says, do you think the toilet ever got fixed?
I don't know. That was upstairs. I didn't use it once.
Well, judging by the water stains on the ceiling, that toilet ain't getting fixed.
Yeah, our Airbnb had a toilet issue that was leaking, and it appears to have been there for quite a while. Highly doubt it is fixed, Rev. Again, miss you already, my good friend. Possibility of the title game coming back to Frisco after the 2-year stint in Nashville, says Peter Bogarty. Only the Rev is firm on the stance, which shout out to Rev for this beautiful SFA flag. And really shout out to all fans who sent us gear this year. We truly appreciate you guys. But he's the only one who thinks that this thing's not going to go back to Frisco. Tyler?
Yeah, it's 100% going to go back to Frisco 1 year. I don't know when or where, but I mean, it is going to come back to Frisco. That town will bid. They embrace it more than anyone else. I'm glad we're not going back to Frisco, but eventually we will. And I just hope other places bid when it comes back around.
Yes. Tropical. Warm. Tampa Bay. Even further.
Yeah.
West.
Mr. Key West. Mr. Williams. New programs. How excited are we about UTRGV going into the offseason? And is Chicago State really coming on board in 2026, says Jason Plotkin. New additions, Jamie. What do you think? You excited?
Yeah, I mean, UTRGV, that'd be cool. Add to the Southland, I believe. They're in the Southland. That'll be fine. Chicago State, who cares? They're going to play in the NEC most likely. They'll just be another filler for when Tarleton State cancels on somebody.
UTRG, I'm excited about. Just because there's nothing else around it for like 6 hours, right?
Wow.
So there's like 3-4 million people that's gonna be their sport, and it is cool to see. I mean, they I think it was like a soccer team. They embraced it, and I mean it sells out. This is gonna be a really cool program that I think could do some big things in the Southland with some sport.
Cool. University of Texas, Rio Grande, Grand Valley.
Good job, Matt.
Let me get it figured out. Hey, I don't know locations of colleges and places the way Mr. Chris Hammond does. That guy, that
was wild.
That guy's a beast. A final question of the season, gentlemen. goes to one of the greatest humans I've ever seen, met, hugged, and enjoyed. Mr. Jim Poppin. Good to see you, Jim, in Frisco.
Greatest guy.
Love you. What section will hashtag Rainbow Row be in during the Natty in Nashville? It was a great time with awesome people. It was a great time seeing you, sir. What do you guys think? We've never tried for sideline tickets because we know we can get the end zone ones. But I don't know the competitive nature of clicking on the Nashville green bubble dots in August or September when they drop. It would be more fun to be more of that sideline feel, to be honest. Like, that would be cool. Okay, I'll give you this. Should we go higher on sidelines if it's accessible, or very low end zone like we normally do? What would you do in a 40,000 person stadium, Kyler?
So the cool thing about the end zones is it's going to be the most neutral you can get, right? Because, each sideline is going to have a fan base.
Yeah.
So at least you can somewhat get in. If you're in the end zone, you're going to get more of a mixture, I would say. But I personally would love the sidelines. I think you get a better view. I think it's easier to have. Jamie and I were talking about this the whole time. The depth perception. Anytime there was a first down or wasn't, I was like, he got 2 yards. He got 7 yards. Nope, he got 4. He got 8. He got 10.
We were wrong every time.
I was wrong every single time. It is hard to see unless he was right in front of you. I do like seeing the touchdowns, but I would love end zones. And if it's in an end zone, I don't care if we're down low or high. I mean, not an end zone, but a sideline.
Cool.
Being down low is more fun, though. Let's go down low.
All right. Jamie, we're going to stick to the normal. No sweets, no nothing crazy.
No sweets. We got to be amongst the fans. We just have to be able to make sure that you can get on the field and, if possible, get behind the head coach during the TV interview.
Yeah.
Jamie, props. That was the most beautiful photo. If anyone doesn't know, Matt, plug it in.
I'll find it.
I'm just going to use you as like Jamie from the Joe Rogan podcast. Matt, plug it in. I have no clue. You don't have it ready. But it was the most beautiful photo of all time. National TV. Jamie Williams looking beautiful, representing the last greatest FCS team to move up.
Yeah, of all people, and it was easy for him to go viral in a way, I don't think anybody on planet Earth would have expected. Here, I'll just show Jamie's Twitter here, and I hope you guys are watching on. Yeah, there we go.
So classic.
Just a thumbs up.
The phone, everything. Is that thumbs up?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
After about like 3 waves and a.
I thought you were doing this.
It was thumbs up with my thick gloves. It was thumbs up.
This is beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, when you see the opportunity of stuff like that, you just have to take it. I was shaking players' hands. Next thing I turn around, there's Paula Sock and Stormy standing there. I was like, I ain't moving.
Matt called me out on this saying, so I'm going to say it one last time. Jamie, you're a wild boy.
Oh, I love that. You're a wild boy. That's the new thing. I find myself at work, Kyler, just saying to people, I go, it is what it is. And I say it 1,000 times now a year. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can hear the daydreaming music, which is what you hear at the end of a season of the FCS Fans Nation podcast. Kind of crazy. As Jamie said on his advice when we forced him to do outros the first month, he's like, just enjoy it because it's going to go by in a flash. And it certainly did. Before we get some last thoughts, I'll get this in there just to say thank you to everybody. First, a shout out to the media members and humans who helped us out throughout the year. We had a lot of guest appearances. We had a lot of military drill weekends, civilian flights, families in town, real life stuff, And for people like, Sam Akin, Sam Herder, J.I. Illustrated, The Rev, Zach McKinnell, even Eric Kletkes and Cody Werlingers from FCS Gold, just the random individuals who took the time to jump onto this podcast and help us out. Just an incredible shout out. You've got families and things going on too. And we appreciate your friendship and your kindness. We took a firm stance on the Facebook page. We kind of said we're done with the personal attack stuff on like an aggressive level. Like we're not giving anybody second chances. Boy, I think we removed 500 people throughout the season. And I say that, and what's shocking about that is the page grew by 1,000. So it really could have been 1,500, it could have been 26.5 right now, but it's 3 or 4 people away from 26,000. And the page is cleaned up a lot more. So shout out to everybody that's still on our Facebook page. Twitter grew to 6,700 people. YouTube, which is a hard growth. It was about 1,900. We grew 400 subscribers, 2,300 on YouTube, which is the main driver to this thing. And for our FCS Gold members, there were 73 consistent ones. And just seriously, we are thinking every day of trying to find more ways to make that experience good for you guys. Getting the ad-free YouTube content, the NCAA football tournament challenges that you guys are doing through the Xboxes and PlayStations, the Discord channels.
Only time I'm ever going to win a national title again, baby.
Yeah. Did you end up on top on that thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Heisman winner, national title. I'm the best.
What a jerk. People pay us 99 cents a month and Kyler just beats them in video games.
100%.
That's a scam. But seriously, that if I missed anybody, just anyone who reached out, DMs, your friendships and your communication is incredible. So a chance to go around the bend and give our final thoughts to end the 2024 season as we roll into a beautiful 2025. Mr. Jamie Williams, what do you have, my man?
Congrats to the Bison. I mean, they battled all year. Started off a little bit slow. That East Tennessee State game almost made everybody think, whoa. Yeah. And there was a lot of improvement throughout the year. But as usual, the best part of the FCS year was hanging out with you guys and our buddies and doing this week after week, and hope we'll keep going.
Awesome. Mr. Neal, final thoughts as we roll her out.
Another fun year. Another normal thing that happens. North Dakota State comes home with the title. Yay, we've been there, done that. It is what it is. One thing I will say is I still find it extremely awesome how many people I get to meet every single year in Frisco that come up to us. There was this really cool dude, and I'm horrible with names, so I forget. He was by himself, younger guy, maybe in his 20s. He just came up with, "You're the podcast guy, Eastern Washington, Kyler." And I went, "Yeah, how you doing? Nice to meet you." And, it's really cool just to see anytime we're walking through the tailgate, when we're walking through the stadium, people coming, "Hey, it's podcast guys," or they're coming up to us going, "Hey, Kyler, can we shake your hand?" And again, it's the little things, even if it happens 10 times a year, it does mean a lot. So I appreciate you guys. Sometimes I could be an a-hole on here, but what I do really mean is, like, we do appreciate it. We've been doing this for now 8 seasons. I met two of honestly some of my favorite people in the whole world in you two, from this online passion of FCS football. When I was moving around the country, didn't know a lot of people. Guess what? It helped that I got to talk to you guys every single day. Now I have some friends and I still end up talking to you guys. That's how wild this is. So cool community. I get to hang out with two of my favorite people every single week. I get to go on a weekend trip, a guy's trip every single year, and meet people that honestly I don't know who you are because I'm horrible with names, but obviously it does mean a lot to us. And I think it is pretty cool. So thank you for all the listeners, even if it's 10, 100, 1,000, everyone on the page. I appreciate it. Sometimes we can be dicks, whatever. Sometimes on the page, other people are dicks. It is what it is. But when we're in person having a good time, just know nothing matters online. And hopefully you're meeting a good person, right? That's all I can say. Hopefully in person, you're meeting a great person and you guys can, hang out, do whatever, shake hands, go, "Hey, maybe we were arguing a little bit too much online. You're an awesome guy," whatever. But yeah, I want to say it means a lot. So thank you guys.
Boy, I don't think you could say it much better than that. And I think that with that, some sincere love and appreciation to the fans, there is absolutely no doubt that you guys will catch us in season 9 of the FCS Fans Nation podcast. But season 8 is officially in the books. So for now, Kyler Neal, Jamie Williams, FCS Fans Nation, thank you so much for your time this season. We will see you next season, next year, when we plan to seek thrills, Hail Bill, on down to Nashville. Boom!